And we can kind of get into this stuff because they're doing a lot of the same things that they did in season 1 in terms of jumping back and forth between multiple timelines. At first glance, it looked like there were 2 timelines in play in episode 1 of season 2. But then I rewatched the beginning and it kind of feels like they were using 3 different timelines during season 2's episode 1. So if you've watched that episode, please join in the conversation. I want you guys to be a part of this as much as possible. And if you haven't watched the episode, obviously spoiler alerts. So if you haven't watched it, if it's still on your DVR, or if you just said, you know what, I haven't gotten into this show yet and I want to get into it, and you don't want any spoilers, then don't watch this episode. Or you know what? Just leave the episode on. Just turn the volume all the way down and help me up. And when this goes up on YouTube, give this a click as well. So let's jump right into it. So episode 1, season 2 of Westworld, we're going to go through some of the things that went down in this episode. Obviously, you're not going to get a ton of answers. You're going to get some that's going to wrap up some of the things that happened in the season finale of season 1, because so much happened in that cliffhanger episode that they did kind of have to clean it up a little bit for us, right? And let us know what's going on, give us an idea of what's happening. And I think that they did that in the sense that season 1 ended with this kind of massacre, and then we didn't know the fallout from it. So we get the fallout, and we have 2 timelines that are somewhat current. We have the timeline that happened right after the massacre at the saloon, which essentially is Bernard and everybody else running away, and the hosts murdering everybody that they can find, right? So Bernard's in concussion protocol for sure. He is 100% in concussion protocol, and you saw something during this episode where he's losing brain fluid. You saw it at the beginning, out of his ear, and it's really affecting his ability to operate. And then by the end, when he's in kind of that Lost structure with Charlotte, you remember, if you watched Lost, obviously J.J. Abrams, an executive producer of this, also producer of Lost, he had the hatch, he had all the different Dharma stations. This little station looked like one of those, and then he goes down and he goes, what is this? And she's like, yeah, I'm just not going to tell you. Charlotte's like, yeah, I don't have time to fill you in on that backstory, because like they went with the narrative of, wow, what is this place? Where, in a show that's their way of catching you up and filling you in. She's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you that. So we don't know what it is. Obviously, it's been there. It's their place that they've built into the map to try and get the information off of the map that they want, whether it's the DNA of the guests who come in, whether it's the interactions with the hosts, or whatever they got to do. But they've got to get one, apparently. She called for an extraction team. Charlotte did. Charlotte Hale called for the extraction team. They would not extract her until she delivers the package, which apparently is this one host. And to quote, she said, it's an insurance policy to the only thing that matters here. So that's something we're not going to get the answer to just yet. And it just kind of is what it is. They're going to build to that as the season goes on. We don't know if it's going to be Maeve. We don't know if that's going to be Dolores. We don't know if that's going to be something that we haven't found yet, that they need to extract and send out. She thought she had already sent the package. Apparently, whoever she's communicating with said, no, you did not send the package, and we need you to do that before we're going to send an extraction team. The other timeline is roughly 2 weeks later, and that's where we catch up with Bernard on the beach. Frostbite 86, thank you very much for the 8 months in a row with Twitch Prime. Have you guys heard about Twitch Prime? Because you should, if you haven't already. Essentially, this is 2 weeks later. Now, the extraction team is there. They're hunting everything down. They're trying to find any of the guests that are still alive that have been running away from these hosts for 2 weeks. In the end episode, she said it's Peter Abernathy. Okay. I missed that. I must have missed that. So, we also have Maeve looking for her daughter, right? So, we have the timeline that's 2 weeks ago, where we come back to Maeve. We have the timeline now where we're caught up with Bernard, and he's lost Charlotte at that point, 2 weeks later, where he gets extracted on the beach, or gets found by the extraction team on the beach. Nobody knows that he's a host. We have to find out what's going on there. The scene that was the most interesting to me was the opening scene, where they come in on Bernard's face, and he's talking to Dolores, where she's wearing the blue dress, the rancher's daughter's dress, and they're literally talking about, he's afraid of what she might become. And the backstory obviously is Bernard is Arnold and Arnold is Bernard. It's, Finkel is Einhorn, all those sorts of things. Bernard, for those of you who haven't sorted this all out, Bernard is Arnold, made by Dr. Ford after Arnold made Dolores Wyatt to kill himself. So he created a host that was going to just be his partner. That's all season 1 stuff. If you weren't caught up on that, there it is, right out for you. Now, it kind of looked in that opening scene as though that was Arnold talking to Dolores and not Bernard talking to Dolores. Based on the language that she was using, based on the way that she was talking to him, based on the way that she was speaking, she wasn't awake yet. And we see her in this timeline where now she's kind of become Wyatt, or at least has tapped into the Dolores side of herself and the Wyatt side of her programming and all of the other things to try, and she's just woke, right? She's the most woke host that there could possibly be. And her goal, from what she said, was to not just take over this world, but move into the bigger world, the human world, and take over that world as well. So it's almost like she's artificial intelligence and she's not going to be confined anymore, and Skynet has become self-aware and she just wants to move on and do what she's not woke. She was not woke then. She's woke now. She's woke Dolores. So woke Dolores crossed last season and timed perfectly with obviously Maeve becoming woke as well, where they weren't attached to one another, but they kind of had the same end game where they wanted to get out of this world. They wanted to own themselves. They want to be alive. They're a living thing. They don't want to just be a host to all of the guests that are in the park anymore. They want to have their own life. And Maeve's goal was to get her daughter and get out. And she turned back. She was already out. She was on the train. She decided to go back at the end of season 1. And we see the continuation of that as she's kind of collected, she's still got her crew, right? She's got Logan, who's completely devoted to her, and she's collected Lee Sizemore, the guy that writes, the writer that wrote all the narratives for everything, and she used one of the lines that he wrote for her when she said, "I'll cut off your most valuable organ and feed it to you. It doesn't look like much of a meal." He's like, "Yeah, I wrote that line." So he's kind of like a comic foil. I don't know what purpose he serves to her, other than just being somebody for her to boss around. She can find whatever she needs to find, even though he's convinced her that, he knows where it is, where the daughter is, but she could just extract that information from him and then go. So he's just kind of there to be brought along with her and with Logan to go extract her daughter and then maybe get her out of the park. And Logan's devotion to her is pretty solid. He's just on board for whatever she tells him to do at this point. She seems to be the only one that can control the hosts, as Sizemore was being cornered by that one guy that was going to eat him. And she comes right in. He wants to, tells to stop motor functions, doesn't listen to him. She comes right in and just stops him with, host telepathy, apparently, and gets it all taken care of. So they're on their quest to go find her daughter, and I think that that's completely separate from everything else. Whether or not the daughter comes into play, whether or not she's important, whether or not she's the thing down the road, we'll find out. And I don't think that we can trust names. Is it Hector? No, I thought it was Logan. No, Logan was the other dude. It is Hector. You're right. My bad. No, that's Hector. You're correct. Either way, his devotion to her is complete, right? He just is essentially her sidekick and is willing to do whatever he has to do to get her to her end game. So they're going to go on their quest and get into the map and do what they have to do to try and find the daughter. Now, the Man in Black, this is what he's wanted for 30 years. And we're going to see him, I guess, get what he wants, right? He got bored of the game. He got bored of the fact a long time ago that he can just be whatever he wants. There's absolutely no danger. Now there's danger. The highest stakes possible. He is being hunted and he is going to hunt. So now He's been the hunter his entire existence in this world, and now he's going to be the one who's hunted, and this is something that he's personally looking for. And it kind of feels like this is completely unattached from every other storyline that they have in this show. Do you agree or disagree with that, chat? You know, what is your feeling? Do you think that he is attached to the storyline? He was obviously the CEO. He was the guy who was in charge. He bought the company. We found out at the end of season 1. Do you think, he got what he wanted. The center of the maze was sent. Yeah, I mean, she became alive. She became awake. But now he gets to deal with the aftermath. So, like, what is his character arc, and what does he have to go this season? We know that Maeve is looking for her daughter. That's her character arc, and wants to get out. We know that Dolores wants to take over this world, kill all the guests that came in because they're interlopers in her world and have taken and ruined her life based on the fact that now she has memories, and wants to go take over their world. Now that's her character arc. What is the character arc of the Man in Black? Because I can't for the life of me figure out what it is, other than him just trying to, I don't know, kill and maybe be killed. Is he trying to recapture his arc could be to save the park? It could be. I'm not saying it can't be, but like his original path in this park was when he fell in love with Dolores, right? So is his arc to recapture that relationship with what Dolores was, or has him and her moved past that? You're on Team Men in Black, no idea what it means, but you're cheering for him. He was kind of the anti-hero in season 1. It's like, I'm interested to see if people really want to cheer for him now. Like, I don't see why they wouldn't. He's not a terrible guy. He just kind of is who he is. And I'm going to make a channel in Discord, and I'll leave it open, subs and non-subs, where if you guys want to discuss this as the weeks go on, I'll put a Westworld channel in there. When Game of Thrones starts again, we'll put a Game of Thrones channel in there as well. He's the spirit guide for the audience, Marcus. The Seeker seeks meaning for all his... True, but where does it go, right? So, like, where does he go? Like, that was what he was, in my opinion, in season 1. Now he's got us all caught up. Now he's got this quest, but what is the quest? Where he gets the kid tells him what he's going to do, and then he kills the kid host because he has no more use for him. He tells him you just have to go and do stuff. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, they revealed that there were more parks. We knew that there was Shogun World at the end of last season. We saw that in the season finale. Now they said there's the tiger that came over was from Park 6. So there's not just 2 parks. There's at least 6 parks. They have never come across things. We also saw at the end of this episode that there was a piece of the map that nobody had ever seen before. And they said, there's no way Ford could have done this without even letting me in on it. So how did this huge sea where all of the hosts were just dead there, 2 weeks after the event, after the incident, we're all just floating in this huge sea that nobody had ever seen before. And Bernard says, I killed them. I killed all of them. And that can be, it could be literal. It could be metaphorical. We don't know yet, because obviously he just kind of woke up on a beach and had no idea what was going on. You think the Man in Black gelled? You said you think the Man in Black is the only person who actually understands what the park can do for people. Interesting. So again, this is like a different metaphorical level that he can go to. May also have to be to keep them confined to the park. Dolores clearly has plans for the real world. Of course. Yes, she does. Future world, also possible. We saw things in the after episode where they kind of, instead of giving you what's going to happen in episode 2, right? Foreshadowing episode 2, little snippet, a little preview. They kind of give you a thing for the whole season. We see Maeve in Shogun World. We see them in what looked like a city, kind of like New York, a large city where Dolores was there with Bernard. Whether that's another part of the park, whether that's another world, we're going to find out. We don't know. I don't want to dig too much into the preview. End of season 2 will be a Bernard and Dolores showdown. Could be. I thought there were a few interesting things that I'd kind of like to, that I think are telling, right? Okay, in the pre-show, where they kind of summed up season 1 or important things from season 1. You remember when Bernard killed Teresa in season 1? She goes down there, she finds the sketch that's essentially Bernard being made, and she shows him the paperwork and she says, what is this, Bernard? What does this mean? And he says, it doesn't look like anything to me. And then Dolores says the exact same quote during the episode when she's got the 3 guests and they're standing up on the gravestone crosses, and they say, can't you tell we're sorry? We're sorry. Just let us go. We want to live. We don't want to die. And she says, can't you see that we're sorry? She says, it doesn't look like anything to me. There's obviously something there. We don't know what it is. It's going to be interesting reveal to see when they probably let us back in on that, like 4 or 5 episodes from now. But it's going to be one of those things that people probably missed. I think people missed the fact that Dolores was talking, in my opinion, and again, I could be wrong on this. Dolores, in my opinion, was talking to Arnold in the opening scene from this episode and not to Bernard, where he was afraid of what she could become or what she could wake up to be because she had the Wyatt programming downloaded into her, or he was going to download that into her. And now she's able to completely tap into that and cross over between those two, where before she was only allowed to use Wyatt, who was allowed to shoot guns, where she was never allowed to shoot a gun. The only time that Dolores ever shot a gun in season 1 was in self-defense. It was the only time that she went on attack. She never went into attack mode, where now she's able to tap into that. We see her hunting down people on horseback and just shooting them with a Winchester in cold blood. Whether she believes it's in cold blood or not, she believes they're guilty of something that they may or may not be guilty of. But that's something she's able to tap into now, and now she's completely woke. And Dolores finds out from, in my opinion, Arnold, where she's in the blue dress in the opening scene. She asks him, what is existence? She says, well, that which is irreplaceable. And she didn't like that answer. We're going to get that, as things go on. Seablums, yes, you said she's hunting other drones too, other hosts too. I agree. She's doing whatever she has to do to get to her own endgame. She's completely Machiavellian right now where she's at. She has no F's to give, right? She's like, I'm going to get here. I'm going to take over this world. The only person that she seems to care about is Teddy, who's been the one constant over her entire host life. And she wants to take him to the end, but we don't know if she's going to take him. We don't know if Bernard killed them. Everybody that was in the sea at the end of the first episode, whether or not he's the one that actually killed them, or whether he's saying that I've enabled Dolores to be the one who killed them, or whether he created this stuff. There's a lot of facial expressions when they're asking him, could Ford have created this? How did this get here? And he's kind of like, I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see as the season goes on what's going to happen with all these things. I think they did a really good job of setting up the season in episode 1 of season 2. I think that it wasn't as boring as a few of the people in my mentions on Twitter have said, oh, the first half hour of the episode was really boring. Guys, it's an episode 1. You have to allow them to set up their narrative. You have to allow them to set up the way that they want things to go, and give them the time to do it. So I really appreciated the things that they were doing. I thought that it was a really cool episode. I thought that they answered enough questions from season 1 and gave us enough new questions for season 2 to set it along its path, knowing that it's going to be centered around Charlotte, Dolores, Maeve, and Bernard. I think that those are essentially the 4 guys that we need to pay the most attention to. And obviously the Man in Black is just the Man in Black. And I'm going to, we're all going to find out what he's going after, right? Because he finally gets to go on his quest where now there's danger, where there's never been danger for him before. Was the dumbest guy in the episode the guy who said, I'm going to sue you? Because I'm like, what are you doing, dude? He was like the least tactical guy in the world. Here comes the Man in Black walking up to his horse, right? And talking to his horse. And he's like, oh, hey, Gus, how's it going? We're just here. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. And then this dude, instead of he's like, yeah, I'm safe. I got lawyers and I'm going to sue you, causing a big ruckus. And then one of the hosts comes up and just shoots him in the ear hole. Dude, at least, you got to chill a little bit. You can't just be pointing fingers and yelling. So, I mean, he was the dumbest guy I had ever seen in an episode, or in this episode of Westworld. But I'm interested to see what comes in the coming weeks. I will not be back next week with a Monday morning recap of Westworld because, and I have a good reason for this, I'll probably do a show but it's not going to be until Monday night. Maybe I can do it Sunday night after the episode, but I'm going to be in Bristol because the Fantasy Football Summit is next week, and I'm flying cross country to go to ESPN to do the Ranking Summit, and then I'll be back Wednesday night. So I'll try and do a show from there to figure it out, but other than that, I'll try to do these every single week on Monday so that we can get in here and talk about what happened on Westworld, because right now, without Game of Thrones, this is the best show, in my opinion, from an hour drama on HBO, where like you can kind of dig into the characters and a lot of things going on, a lot of speculation, a lot of things that we can talk about. So thanks for joining, and we'll catch up to you later.